year was 1977. Atari, well known at the time for their arcade hits such as Pong and Tank, unleashed upon the world the magic of a home video game console with the Atari Video Computer System. With a vast library of iconic games and a collaboration with the Sears department store, the VCS would go on to sell millions of units and shoot the video game industry into a realm of popularity that it had never known before. The year was 1982. 25-year-old Howard Scott Warshaw was commissioned to develop a port of the arcade game Star Castle. Finding the circular rotation of the force field to be far too demanding for the aging hardware, he instead took a few core ideas from it and designed a wholly original game. This cobbled together mess was called Yars Revenge, and it wound up being the best-selling original game on the system and one of the greatest games of its era. The year was 1983. Atari, and by extension the entire gaming industry, had found themselves in the crosshairs of the public. Millions of families across the nation were outraged at the newly renamed 2600's renditions of Pac-Man and the Warshaw-developed E.T. the Extraterrestrial that their children had gleefully unwrapped on their last year's tree, only for them to be chucked in a landfill hours later. All the trust that the public had put into Atari over those past 5 years were flushed down the toilet, and the entire video game industry grinded to a screeching halt in what became known as the video game crash of 1983. The year was 1985. Japan was never affected by the crash. Nintendo was soaring with their popular family computer system and was interested in growing their empire across the Pacific Ocean. Through careful analysis of the American market, they redesigned the Famicom to appear as a fancy VCR and bundled it with a gun and a robot, positioning it as a multifaceted entertainment system that offered a level of fun and variety that no other toy could replicate. Their ploy worked, bringing video games to an even wider audience than Atari and establishing the Land of the Rising Sun as the dominant force in the industry. The year was 2024.
Japan still ruled the video game industry because America was too busy trying to make our games look like movies. Atari tried to come back in 2022 with a new VCS that spent half a decade in development hell, came out as a crappy Linux box, might have made you tacos, and everyone forgot about it the minute it was released. But it was that year, 2024, that they made strides in the right direction, collaborating with the Shantae developers at WayForward to create a brand new Metroidvania based on Howard Scott Warshaw's 1982 classic, Yars Revenge. And now here I am in 2025 talking about it. This is Yars Rising, and it sucks. Yes, WayForward created a Metroidvania that tried to feed on nostalgia for an Atari 2600 game. Last year. I think you might have missed the boat on that one. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got some Atari nostalgia. Flashback 2 was just as important to my development as a gamer as the PS2, the Wii, and MAME, and hell, this thing came not only with Yars Rising, but its own exclusive sequel to it. But even still, that was more secondhand nostalgia from my dad. I can still tell that it was older than dirt in the face of Kingdom Hearts and Twilight Princess. You weren't aiming for my memories, you were aiming for senior citizens. So what the hell is up with this dialogue?
Crap! Why are you unplugged? Because you need that socket to charge your card skimmer, Emmy! Because you forgot to charge your battery packs the day before, Emmy!
Here we have the first issue with this game, the writing. Ignoring the question of why a game like this would even need dialogue in the first place, the whole thing was clearly written by a fat 30-something who never grew up after high school and insists on never taking anything seriously. Verbal tics abound as everyone talks down to each other to stroke their own egos with their single-digit number of brain cells. Have you ever seen that one video on millennial writing? Yeah. The voice acting certainly doesn't help in this regard, sounding like a modern anime dub at best.
Hey Mal, on my way, but they've got some major security around here. Lasers!
Anyway, this is Emi Kimura, codenamed Yar. She's the main character of the game, a hacker girl who's part of a small group of people trying to undermine the evil megacorporation BlackRock, Kotek. She's also your traditional insufferable millennial. Her conlink is connected to Mallory Foster, Mal, and Keen Winters, Refresh, who clearly spends his every waking hour stuffing every single hole in his body with enough ramen noodles to feed the entire country of China. Her mission is simple: shove a USB dongle into the server room and steal all of Kotek's data. So for the first few minutes of the game, you're playing a stealth mission. It's probably the best part of the game, playing like the stealthy bits of Metroid Fusion and Zero Mission. Just ponder that for a sec. The best part of this game plays like the worst parts of some GBA games. It's not even as good as that because you're being orally assaulted by—
Oh, there's no cameras back here.
Yeah, not only does the script read like a Marvel movie reject, but it's shoved down your throat with every second of progress. Oh, and the music sucks too. It's this garbage trance music that sounds like cheap techno remixes of songs that don't exist. I used to listen to these kinds of cheap techno remixes, but they were remixes of good songs with catchy hooks, and the remixes had heavy bass drops. This doesn't have any of that. It's just a load of My recommendation, mute that crap, play Halen. Or Dream Theater. It may not work with the Yars Revenge thing, but at the same time, I'm using this thumbnail, and I haven't mentioned Dream Theater once in this entire script. Eventually you get to the server room and play a hacking minigame. Ever since the release of Nier Automata, every hacking minigame has taken the form of a top-down space shooter, and this game is no exception. Naturally, considering its lineage, it plays out as a grossly simplified form of Yars Revenge. And yeah, it's fun, but it's Yars stinking revenge. It's not even the full game. Oh, and also you got caught. Good job, Abby, you're going to jail! So you gotta do a Die Hard and then hack your way out of there. Or, actually, that's how you get your first power-up. The Zorlon Cannon, a basic shooting attack. After shooting down the little robot and passing through a few screens of insufferable writing, this guy named Andy Ocho, Kit Bash, sends you coordinates to somewhere that might open the way back outside. Well, you know, it really is like Metroid Fusion.
This map data is sweet. Hella sweet.
You will find me deep in the cold, dead ground before I suffer through a single second of Life is Strange. Come to think of it, let's go ahead and check that map. Oh, well, that's a bit small. But no one's actually saying this is the whole game, right? I mean, Super Metroid can only check one sector at a time. Maybe this is the same way. Aha! On the way, there's this terminal tucked away in its own little room.
What?
Breaking into it gives you a biohack. What's a biohack? It's a little chip you install into your tattoo and it gives you a buff. Neat stuff, except it works like this. I've always hated these resource management type doohickeys in Metroidvanias, because it pretty much means that 80% of your upgrades never get used and are just there to fill out a checklist. Oh, and here we have another security guard. Now that I've got a weapon, surely I can take him out no problem. Well, I did do this was the best part of the game, so...
Too much cardio.
We're 24 minutes into this game. I've taken longer walking between classes at college. What is wrong with you? But hey, here we have our next power-up, the Trionic Nibble.
Thank God! I skipped breakfast this morning.
I don't know if you'd want to eat those. Trions are sub-quantum energy particles.
Eats what's in my fridge.
Blech. So the Trionic Nibble's power is to suck these barriers. It has more utility later on, but you'll rarely use it for anything else, because you have to plant your feet on the ground. Anyway, Tony sent some new coordinates, so let's bust out of here!
Master of door hacking.
And here's a stealth section.
Hope there's no more lasers ahead.
Get it! There's all those on the top there below her, and she said there won't be any more lasers. Isn't that hilarious? Doesn't it make you laugh? Clearly, these people have their fingers on the pulse of comedy. After getting through the sneaky bit and flying through a couple of
Robot fight!
it's time for a boss fight, the Burning Sentinel. Turns out Kotek went a little crazy with the security budget, and you know what? I'll give the tiniest bit of credit to this game's boss design. This one in particular looks large and imposing, it moves around a lot, it hits like a truck, and it can't be attacked until you nibble away its Trionic defenses. Yeah, it's stupid easy, I was gonna complain about that, but it's the first boss. It does more than Giganto, so it's fine. My real issue is...
That's not a cute robot. What's the point of lighting it on fire? It's already super deadly. What possible commercial purpose is there for this Big Mac? Well, it's me!
After taking it down and turning on the sprinklers...
All right, lady. I'm in charge now of this situation. I mean, not the company.
you get more plot. Turns out Miss Davidson isn't the head honcho here, it's instead a man named Philip Ong, and he's gonna change the world or something. Whatever, give me your badge, woman. Now let's get the hell out of here, son of a gun. Alright, rerouting. Seems we're going underground, and the quickest way to get there is through the aqueduct.
But I can't swim.
Yeah, I got it.
Swim, see down in Arizona Bay.
So instead you've got to go around it.
Okay, seriously, what crazy parkour enthusiast designed this building?
I am so sick, so tired, so stinking done with your BS, Emmy. Of course it's designed like this. It's a Metroidvania. That's how they work. This whole self-aware shtick has been going on for a hell of a while, and it falls flat every time. If you got a problem with the game design, don't be all tongue-in-cheek about it. Fix it!
Now I fully acknowledge that I am a hypocrite on this end. I love the Scream movies. But the thing is, that worked because if you take out all the goofing off, you're left with a pretty standard slasher flick. This game would have worked if it was otherwise extremely similar to some other Metroidvania, but how many of these types of games take place in a sterile office building? 90% of Metroidvanias I've played take place in either a fancy ornate castle or underground. Speaking of which...
We're here. This is the underground lab, and it looks exactly like the rest of the game, except with the light stand. But Emmy will insist, it looks completely different. You get hit with another stealth section, and it's the first time you're expected to use Trionic Nibble's silencing feature. The thing is, it's so slow that you'll lose time using it compared to just blasting out on max waiting for the alert to pass.
On God?
I don't know, that's pretty sus.
It is the very most sus.
Do it. Pull the trigger. I don't want to be here no more. Just put the metal into my mind. For the love of God, do it.
New power-up, Destroyer Missile. A more powerful shot which has limited ammo and therefore will only be used against bosses and walls. And you're supposed to get more ammo for it by nibbling at glowing enemies, but again, you can't move when you do that. Plus, they've got plenty of ammo in these canisters. And here we've got more lore. It turns out this lab's been harvesting aliens.
They're not aliens. There's been zero widely accepted
Shut your trap!
scientific
They're
empirical
aliens!
data.
And she darn well knows it because she met with them since she was little. That's what her tattoo is, a full-on alien in her hand. And all the upgrades and biohacks are being sent to it.
I mean, I'm probably the alien.
No! That thing came from its own planet. It's the alien. The script is telling me to read the Kotal ultimatum. I've lost that, so I can't do that.
And now there's bugs everywhere. Pretty neat, but they're not that much more interesting than the robots. A few screens down you get the grasshopper legs, aka the wall jump. A pretty standard Metroidvania power-up, but they screwed it up because you can't scale single walls, so it's only useful in very specific circumstances. Plus, even before getting the wall jump, you still slid down walls, just kicking off of them barely did anything, so it was just clunky. Which it still is. Also, for some reason, the hacking minigame that nets you the legs is the hardest in the game. The Kotal quarrels all over the place, there are 6 missiles that bounce around everywhere, and you're on a time limit. And then when you manage to hit the thing, you have to do it again, but with walls all over the place. Pro tip, don't bother climbing up here, it just nets you a useless biohack. Anyway, anyone up for a boss round? Here we've got a nice, delicious pair of egg sacs named... Seriously, how am I supposed to look that up? Yeah, so Black Widow here is an interesting boss. While Burning Ranger was a more traditional melee-focused fight, this one has more bullet hell elements. It's really fun. I'd appreciate it if she moved around, but, you know, it's only the second boss. One problem, though. She drops health pickups. So much for being interesting. First try. Turns out she was a crazy crapshoot experiment of some sort, trying to inject alien DNA into a human body. Alright, now let's get out of here through this barely visible tunnel on the ground. And this here hacking minigame is finally a full game of Yars Revenge.
And she was very attractive for some reason.
Hey, point that out with my job. And looking at it now while I'm editing the footage, she isn't nearly as attractive as I thought she was when I was writing it. Might have been on NoFap when I wrote that, I don't know. Looking at the map, it's safe to say this area really is the lowest point in the game. But hey, there's still 3 directions to spread out. This can't be all of it. Anyway, we're getting out of here. That means backtracking and lots of it. Nothing interesting, so let's just skip to when Emmy gets back home.
Emmy's sleep time now. No distractions, please. Better she out 1%.
Jesus Christ, shut up, woman! And take your shoes off when you're in bed! She gets a call from Miss Davidson. Philip Ong is planning to unleash these aliens on all of humanity, and only Emmy and her friends can stop him. But all of her friends are missing, so we've gotta find them. Good thing they're already marked on the map, because that's what missing means, being marked on your map. Actually, you know what, let's get into that. I'm not huge on all this hand-holding, pointing me to the precise location of the thing I need instead of letting me find it naturally. The thing I like about Metroidvania is it's a sense of exploration, charting each and every path in hopes of stumbling upon the next route, or at least a few new tools to help me get there. Unless it's Negavania, in which it gets more of a game of where the hell is the f***ing safe when I am 2 hits away from death, with the main difference being whether or not enemies drop health pickups. Either way, I prefer to make my own routes with no urgent destination. I typically try to avoid having the map filled in for me, or using warp rooms, because I feel they lessen the sense of adventure. So you point me right where I need to be, and it just becomes a regular 2D platformer with some funky level design. But enough about fusion, we're finally in a different looking area, the city. A standard cyberpunk city with terrain that looks like this. Hey Emmy, what was it that you said about Kotek? That it was designed by a crazy parkour enthusiast? When you live here? And also Kotek is taking control of the police force, so there's still those simple stealth sections. Oh crap, they got weapons. Following one of the markers brings us underground, and we get a new power-up, the pond skater boots. No, you're not swimming yet, but you get to walk on water like Jesus Christ. A bit later on, there's this terminal tucked away in its own little cup, and hacking into it. No. Alright, we've got the key.
Kind of a mid-invasion if you ask me.
Can we leave him behind? You may find it
Hard not to smile.
when the fat Redditors around, but I don't. Oh yeah, also you can't grab onto ledges when there's jump-through platforms on them. That's fun.
On, what did I...
Eesh, that came out of nowhere. Just after that, you got this room, which really ticks me off. You got this nibble wall right behind a cop, which means this is the only room in the whole game where you have to use the nibble silencer, and that makes it go at the speed of molasses. But you gotta be careful, because the cop can turn around at any minute, and he's off screen when you're nibbling, so you just have to guess when he's coming around. The designers really think this was fun, but hey, new power-up, Firefly Drone. How's it work? Well, it's a manually controlled missile that operates via the left stick. In other words, your feet are planted to the floor when using it. Oh, and it takes trial so you'll never use it, except when you need to turn these platforms on. Alright, we got Tony. Listen up, bud. She's clearly into you, but you're way too good for her. Just please find someone who doesn't talk like this.
It might just help me save the world. Yeah, apparently that's my responsibility now.
Okay, all that remains is Mal. Looks like we gotta open up these doors to get to her. Doink, boink, skachunk.
Door 4.
3. 3 shall be the number, and the number shall be 3. You shall not go to 4, nor shall you stop at 2, excepting that you will move to 3. 5 is right out. And it's just a biohack. I was supposed to go the other way, and Mal's still not here. This just leads back inside Kotek. But before we get back in, boss time! Here we have the Missile Commander.
By preventing upstarts like yourself from becoming even a blip on his radar.
Hey. Is upstart an insult? I thought it was a good thing.
You know, at this point, I'm just numb to this garbage.
And I have got to give props to the idea behind this boss fight, going deeper into Atari's back catalog to pull out more references. And his battle does share some similarities with the arcade game, with him sending out fireballs, missiles, to destroy the ground you're standing on.
You look more like little meteors.
Thanks, Emmy, for pointing out the obvious. So yeah, this seems like an interesting battle. There's a lot of projectiles to dodge, and the boss himself actually moves around. Seems like he could actually put up a fight, never mind, easier than the Burning Ranger. And now we're on Kotek again. First things first, another terminal hack, and... Wait a minute, I recognize this. It's Yars' return from the flashback too! That's awesome! Beating unlocks the elevators. I don't use elevators. I don't get an option.
Greetings and whomsling, human.
Oh crap, it's an alien. And it speaks in that obnoxious English gibberish mix that every alien and every children's show speaks. Fantastic. This is the exact Yar that gave Emmy her tattoo. He's given her a mission to destroy the portal that Philip Ong is building. The Sokotil invade Earth and enslave her as they did the Yar planet.
Ooh, it's fancier up here. And deadlier, apparently.
You can say that again. Look at all these crushers. You were almost an Emmy sandwich. Look, she started with that master of door hacking thing. Alright, next power up. The Dragonfly Dash? Oh my god, it's real. A forward dash! The fight is getting better. I don't get it. How does no one understand how to do it? This was perfected in Mega Man X. You hit the button, it goes, it doesn't stop you in place when it ends, and you can conserve your momentum into a jump. That's what makes it fun to use, yet not a single game can figure out how to replicate it. Even Hollow Knight misses the last, most important aspect of jump momentum, and here it just stops at the end. It kills momentum. Why? Why would I use this outside of parts where I need to?
Stairway to heaven.
Who wants to wager she's never actually listened to Zeppelin? A couple steps later, blam, new power-up. I really like the hacking mission that you need to do in order to get it. It reminds me of old Flash games. And the reward? Fly wings.
They're wings that make you fly.
Yes, good job, Kian. Except they're not free flight because that would burst the game wide open. Instead, they're a double jump. Sounds great, how'd they screw it up? Well, you just shoot straight up, and you fall slowly without getting any horizontal momentum, and guess what? It takes try-ons. So they messed up the wall jump, they messed up the double jump, they messed up the dash, they messed up basic health and ammo pickups. What can they do right?
Ugh, rotating lasers? My only weakness. Along with exercising, socializing, eating healthy.
Characterizing a modern 20-something, that's what they get right. And even then, that's still a negative, because no one wants to hear someone whining about these kinds of issues when virtually everyone else is in the same boat.
Case in point, while editing, I've found myself falling into the exact same kind of speech patterns that Emmy's got. It's kind of eye-opening, actually. Taking my own personality and transposing it into something with a more active mouth and no Y chromosome makes it the most aggravating thing on Earth. I think I've got my own problems.
And here we encounter an elevator. They're expecting you to take it back to the start of the sequence, but as I said, that ain't my style. I went the long way. So grab the mayo. And alright, what I said about the opening stealth sections, I take it all back. This part on the roof is the real best part. We found Mal, finally. And she's a traitor! She was working with Philip Ong and Kotek the entire time, and the cutscene that reveals this...
I trusted you, Mal! And I've always told you to trust no one!
There's actually sincerity in the writing. Someone on the writing team actually cared for a second. And this was the end result. For as flawed as this game is, this little part of it is downright perfect. And of course, it ends with a boss fight. It's showtime! Now at its core, this is a standard mirror match, and I've always loved those. Seeing your absurd powers copied into a beast that's just like you, only stronger. A battle that's as awesome as it is humbling, showing how powerful you've become, and yet how powerless you truly are. And yet still there's more to this, as she has one extra attack that you don't. Bullet Hell. A little cherry on top of the sweet, sweet dual boss sundae, putting a nice little bow on the whole roof sequence. Hell, Mal killed me. Seriously, first death of the game, about darn time, an actual roadblock, and quite a necessary one too, as this entire roof segment is the last barrier before the whole game comes crashing down once again, further than before.
Emmy, you suck.
And all of that beautiful sincerity just got thrown out of the window. Shock of all shocks, we're too late and the portal is open. Our only option is to go in and take care of the Kotal
Straight from the source.
You better not scatter my atoms, machine!
Welcome to Razak 3, the homeworld of the Yars and the Kotal. The Navi still works, so let's check the map and see where this is in relation to this. This is really the whole game. This postage stamp sized map is the entire game. How is this okay? This is one of the smallest Metroidvania maps I've ever seen. And not only that, there are only 3 unique locations. You got the generic office building, the generic cyberpunk city, and the generic red alien planet. That's it. Variety is the spice of life, and this game is ranch dressing. Did they just not bother? Did they think this would appeal to anybody? I'd understand if this is a digital-only budget title, but no! Look, it's a box with a card in it. It was $27. This ain't $27 worth of game. I've gotten more out of free games. I've gotten more out of free ad-free games. I've gotten more out of free porn. Excuse me, ignore that last one. I was trying to get to this terminal here, but I forgot that I had the flywing, so I kept trying to get it through wall jumping and dashing, and the game broke. There's no getting out of this pit. You can walk from side to side, you can use your weapons, but you can't climb out. All you can do is go back to the tile screen and continue from your last save. Lord ump, the Yars have been developing a secret weapon that can banish the Kotal forever, but they've locked it behind 4 codes known only to the greatest warriors of their kind. So if there was any doubt this was endgame, here's a stinking fetch quest. Hallelujah. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. There are 2 more upgrades before we start on that. First is the Vadia suit, or whatever the hell it's called. You get it from this cutscene. It doesn't offer any defensive capabilities, it just looks cool and you can shoot down the guards. Yes, finally! No more dealing with those guys. Of course, I didn't know that until a bit later, and the second power-up is, shoot. I underestimated the length of this game, and Game Bar cuts itself off after 2 hours. Didn't realize that until just after getting that power-up. Whatever, you didn't miss much outside of a stupid hard hacking minigame with hundreds of swaying droplet missiles. Mayfly Gale, so that's the final power-up. It lets you walk underwater, since that every action becomes as fluid as moving in thin air. As fluid as moving in thin air.
Who's swimming now?
It's not swimming, you dipwad!
So let's tally up all the major upgrades and put them into categories: tools and keys. Tools are additions to your arsenal that you'll find using often. They not only unlock new pathways to the game, but also have utilities in aspects such as speed, combat, and fluidity. These are your double jump, your wall jump, your dash, your missiles, etc. Keys, on the other hand, are only used for the sake of accessing new areas. They're effectively filler items, not getting much use outside of when they're necessary. Super Metroid's Grapple Beam, Symphony of the Night's Mistcloud, these are examples of keys. So let's see how they stack up. Dang it.
And now for the final stretch, the backtracking. The first guy is right in front of an elevator, so I could just warp to him.
I will not become a
Sandwich.
Okay, we're here. So what do you find underwater? Giant mines. And how do you dispatch them? Well, you can run into them. That's a surefire way to get yourself killed, but at least the mine is gone. Or you can shove 3 missiles each into their faces. And Trions aren't the most common drops in the world, not to mention I can only hold 25. So I just try to avoid them. But yeah, in, out, who's next? Well, the next one is also quite close to an elevator, and this time there's no way to get there on foot, so I used it. And all I had to do was go right and exit the building, so naturally I headed left. Metroidvania brain was in full force, and I needed to see every last crevice this game had to offer. And in the process, I stumbled upon this area, with a save point that said no data. Between that, this smorgasbord of tougher enemies, and Emmy herself saying how dangerous it all felt, I was getting hyped for some sort of super boss. A feeling that surged even further in this room full of nothing but wall jumps and alien pods. And what I got was another simple hacking mission and an elevator. You know what, fine, screw you, I'll take it and go the right way this time. But it wasn't all bad. After saving this alien through a really neat hacking mission that plays like an inverted missile command, I died. And the save point put me back close to the rest of the aliens. Because this game doesn't trust you to do anything, I didn't have to save that other alien again, so it was just progress. Third one down.
I'm a warrior. What use have I for talk?
Hey Emmy, you could take some pointers from this guy. Last one's quite a ways away. Back to exploring. Where we got? Elevator, elevator, elevator. You know what? Screw exploring. Let's just skip to the part where I rescue the last alien. Alright, that's the last one. Now I've just gotta get back to Ryzak. With all the elevators I found, it should be easy to warp back to the roof. Why can't I go to the roof?
Wait a minute. I never used the roof elevator. Are you joking? Are you actually screwing with me?
They don't work unless you've used them before. Well, I guess that's on me for having standards. Looks like we'll be taking the long way again. Okay, I'm here. Send me up, give me the ultimate weapon, and let's get this over with. Why do I have to hack it? But at least this one has a sense of finality, facing off against giant cow-tiles that move at the speed of a paraplegic snail covered in molasses. Look at that trick shot. So here we have the ultimate weapon, the Zorlon Cannon, and here's Philip Bong talking about how he's gonna change the world.
Change the world? Sounds like Maverick talk to me. Let's go! X, shoot now! Charge shot!
Okay, that was shoehorned in, it's all hell, but I've had that joke kicking in me in the back of the head since I first played this piece of crap, and guess what? They still messed up the Zorlon Cannon charge shot. Though it's less of a major screw-up and more, this is different from every other game in existence and is therefore big stinky. It doesn't fire off when you let go of the button, but when you hit it again. Not terrible, just weird. Also, it's a tool, everyone clap. As for the actual fight with Philip Bong, I'll be honest, I feel extremely embarrassed that I didn't predict this on my first playthrough. Yep, a game of Pong that lasts way too darn long and controls like crap. Why do I have to use the analog stick to control my paddle? The Joy-Cons and the DualSense have motion controls. The PC version could use the mouse. The new VCS straight up has a paddle built into its controller. Why does it have to be like this? Xbox. That's why. Dorito Dust, Red Rings, and Game Pass. That's what's really holding the industry back. The machine known for FPSs doesn't have motion controls, and that is why we can't have nice things. Mercifully, I got through this on one attempt. Barely. But Pyong ain't done yet. He's got one last ace up his sleeve. Ladies and gentlemen, the father of all cow-tiles, the Phalanx.
The Phalanx hungers.
For takeout?
Come on, Emmy, it's the final boss. Can you please take this seriously? This is the biggest difficulty spike of the game, as it ought to be. I died not once, but twice to this behemoth. But it wasn't the fun kind of difficulty, it was the you neglected to spot this tiny particle far away from where your gaze ought to be, now perish kind of difficulty. And only dying twice is still what I consider in the easy range. Cheap and easy, like a 72-year-old hooker. So how's it work? Well, there's the Phalanx. He slams his fist down and you can't do jack to him. Instead, you need to chase down this crystal until it goes invisible, then hit with a charge shot. Repeat that 3 times and you win. Problem is, I can only keep track of one thing at a time. I focus on the Phalanx himself, and the crystal screws off to Timbuk too. I focus on the crystal, and ouch. See, I like duel bosses, not so much duel. This feels more like a game of luck than anything. But when RNGesus is in your favor and you nail that final hit, it's over. Wait, no, don't try to pull a signal, I don't want any more of this crap!
Do I really need to go over every single issue this game has?
The gameplay is slow, the power-ups are garbage, there's no reason to explore, every room looks the same, the map is tiny, the music is crap, the story is just a carbon copy of Half-Life, the dialogue is grating, the loading screens! I'm struggling to find positives. Maybe the hacking missions, but they're basically if Yars Revenge was an old smartphone game. I'd rather just play real Yars Revenge. And a lot of the game is it just feels like they're trying to avoid criticism. Like, hey, you don't like this aspect? Well, guess what? Neither do we. Oh, you think that's not funny? Well, you must be a bit like Miss Stevenson, who just doesn't like humor at all. If you don't like our game, you're just like her. Well, I do know what humor is, and it ain't this. You wanna know what real humor is? Get ready. 3, 2, 1. Killian is fat.